My friends, the wait is officially over. Battlefield 6 is finally here, and with special thanks to EA, I've had the opportunity to lock in about 14 hours of multiplayer gameplay ahead of the game's release to you all on October 10th. And I think a lot of you will be able to relate when I say that the wait for this game to finally hit since that open beta has been just so bloody excruciating, hey? With this early access to the game, I've now had some serious time with what we can call the complete package, and I sort of wanted to go over some of my first impressions as to whether, the wait was worth it after all. Something that I do want to make really clear here though is that I've been playing in a closed, limited testing environment, which means that I haven't played the game under a stressed server load, and I've also had a fair few AI in my lobbies backfilling accordingly. I also believe there is a day one patch coming to the game that we were not playing on during our preview, so some additional changes and updates might yet be on the way as well. I'll be doing some follow-up content real soon that touches on sort of the launch day feel of the game and how it's shaping up and whether I think it's actually worth buying Battlefield 6 if you're on the fence about it. But what I can talk about today is the gameplay, the content, and how it all feels technically. So let's get into it. And look, I'm not going to beat around the bush here, guys. From a first impressions perspective, this game fucking slaps. I know I'm going to sound like I'm glazing right now out of the gate, but I can't help but be honest with you all. As a long-time Battlefield lover, this game is everything I wanted Battlefield 6 to be from a launch perspective the moment I got my hands on it for the first time in February. Battlefield Studios have only improved on everything that we played in the beta and beyond, to the point where this feels like the gameplay of Battlefield 3 and 4, the immersion of Battlefield 1, with some of the quality of life features from the likes of Battlefield 5 and beyond, all bundled into this final offering of absolute first-person shooter chaos. This game is, in all honesty, everything I wish that we had gotten out of Battlefield 2042 when the marketing campaign started for that game. And this is the Battlefield game we've been so desperately waiting for a long time now. I mean, content offering aside, one thing that I really want to drill home here is that this is without a question the most polished Battlefield launch that we have ever seen in the modern era, maybe even ever full stop. Battlefield games have long held this reputation of being a little broken at launch, right? I mean, we all remember the absolute horrors of Battlefield 4 on its launch, and despite Battlefield 3 feeling like a dream by comparison, it also had its fair share of problems too. Battlefield 2042 was also in absolute shambles at its launch, but I think we've all made a concerted effort to remove that chapter from our memories entirely. Battlefield 6, on the other hand, after those 14 hours of pre-release gameplay, I've not had a single game crash, major game-breaking bug, or anything that has taken me out of the experience entirely. There's been a couple of very few minor bugs here. For example, I've been able to geometry launch myself a couple times by accident, but the developers have been very open to receiving feedback during this preview and are working hard to squash those bugs as fast as possible. Everything about the game feels tight, it feels polished, it feels responsive, which works well in general with the gameplay loop. And that's unfortunately been a bit rare to see in a Battlefield game at its launch. Battlefield 6 has kind of broken that tradition. I'll be sitting here with bated breath hoping that the servers can hold up when the floodgates open up to let all of you weapons of mass destruction into the chaos, but from a technical gameplay perspective, this is without a doubt the smoothest running and most polished Battlefield game I have ever played at a launch. That technical polish has led to the gameplay feeling deliberate as well. I feel like I can aim to do a certain thing in the game, and it will do the exact same thing as I intended to do, which is something I haven't been able to say about previous Battlefield games at launch either. And that goes to show that all of this intensive testing that Battlefield Studios have been doing, behind closed doors, has really paid off. And it means that they can now focus on the post-launch content of the game as well, start looking ahead, rather than having to look backward and fix a whole bunch of issues that have made their way into launch. But speaking of content, let's talk a bit about the content offering here on launch. I've now had a chance to play every single map that's available in the game, with Manhattan Bridge, New Sobek City, and Saints Quarter being the fresh new maps I've played in this preview. And I've now also gotten a pretty good idea of how the progression and the weapon package is feeling in the game now too. Map-wise, it's clear that Battlefield Studios have gone down the route of offering a real variety of experiences in the maps that cater to different playstyles and combat types, and I really think that each map in this game hits a certain stride in its own way. The variety is extremely welcoming, and it feels very akin to the kind of map pool that we got in Battlefield 3. All of the game gameplay styles in this Battlefield game are given a true opportunity to shine depending on the map that you're playing on. Whether you want CQC infantry chaos, large-scale all-out vehicular warfare, or something in between, this game's got it. And that helps to keep the game fresh to play even after longer sessions as you switch up between all of the maps and have to adjust your playstyle accordingly. If you switch up your playstyle and keep testing out new kits and new classes and embrace the map you're on, it feels pretty difficult to get bored. And that is also a very welcome shift after Battlefield 2042's take on maps which just, everything was supersized with no variation barring the color palette of the map. Visually as well, on that note, every map in this game feels like it really fits within the world of Battlefield 6. They all make for great backdrops to fight within, and they all present some really cool visual moments as well. Now, because Battlefield Studios have opted to go for this variety take, not every map is going to be an absolute winner for everyone. There are certainly going to be some maps that are on the smaller side of the game here that aren't going to hit the stride for those in the community that prefer, the more large-scale combined arms experiences that are more traditional to Battlefield. But I think, technically, the bar for the actual design of the maps and how they've been designed for an intended experience has been set much higher than what we've gotten in recent history from the franchise. Now that I've played the entire roster, I think that Empire State is probably, my least favorite map in the game, but I still thoroughly enjoyed that map for what it does. Just because it's my least favorite doesn't mean it's bad, and I think that says a lot here. The bar, once again, has been raised, and I'm now hoping that that has set the standard for the future maps coming in Season 1, and given they seem to be more on the medium to large scale design, that's going to only further appease to you guys who do prefer your larger combat experiences. You guys are getting more content very, very soon. But something I also want to touch on here in regards to this launch build of the game, guys, is the gunplay. Especially given that there has been some tuning that has happened since the beta, and the complete arsenal has become available to us to play through this preview of the final build of the game, and also through previous capture sessions that I've been able to attend as well. I touched on this briefly in my last video where we had that gameplay session on Manhattan Bridge and New Sobek City, but the gunplay has certainly been tweaked here to further mirror the kind of gunplay design that we had in Battlefield 3 and 4. Spread and bloom has certainly been increased a little bit by comparison to the beta build, which creates a stronger reliance on microbursting and fanning the trigger as your engagement ranges tend to extend out. I know there were certainly some concerns around the beta of the game where the gunplay felt it was a bit laser beamy. I thought it wasn't too bad, but now having played this final version of the gunplay, I think a really nice balance has actually been struck here. It adds a bit of a skill curve, but the weapons still feel incredibly deadly under a full auto fire burst in close to medium range as well. Those of you out there who really grinded Battlefield 3 and 4, I think are going to really feel at home with how the gunplay of this game has been balanced and how it's going to feel. And much like the beta as well, and even other preview sessions that I've attended, it still feels as responsive and as engaging to use as ever. I personally really like the final gunplay in this game, and I think it feels really, really nice. The weapon variety is also feeling very, very solid here as well, guys. I've fallen in love with most, if not all, of the weapons that I've had a chance to use in the game so far, because they all feel unique but also viable too. The M60 in particular, or the Pig, man, that thing has quickly earned a very big place in my heart already, and I've actually got another video dropping very soon that'll be showing you guys exactly why. But yeah, weapon variety, the design, it's been nailed here too. I really think this is some of the best gunplay that we've seen in the franchise, and it's leagues above what we saw in Battlefield 2042. Obviously, it'll become clearer in the future as to whether there are any major red flags or issues with the balance of the game as time goes on, but that comes with time. And so far, Battlefield Studios have shown a real interest in listening to that community feedback and getting any troublesome pieces of kit squared away fast. This is also the first time we've gotten a really good hands-on with the game's final progression model, and I've got to be honest with you guys, we're going to be grinding this game for a very, very long time. Now, to be clear when I say that, the career progression model and the career rank, which unlocks new weapons, gadgets, stuff like that, that is delivered at a relatively healthy pace. You are going to be unlocking new weapons and gadgets pretty consistently here, and it's not going to feel like you really have to grind the game out a stupid amount to achieve that. That's a really good thing to see. Vehicle progression also feels pretty speedy, which I think is good as well, given how how, you know, default vehicle loadouts can feel pretty weak by comparison to maxed out vehicle loadouts in Battlefield games. So I'm glad that that hasn't been gatekept, if you will, behind some long-term progression model. It's weapon progression that's going to take some serious time in this game. Most of the primary weapons in this game seem to have about 50 levels of mastery rank, and you're going to be unlocking attachments all the way through those mastery ranks. Now, in my 14 hours of playing this game so far, and after having some pretty serious games where I've gotten some really good KDs and stuff like that, the maximum rank I think I've hit on any gun in the game so far is about 11, and that's after some serious time with it. Now, rest assured, you do unlock some really good attachments that make weapons far more viable and far more accurate early in the progression piece as well. So it's not like Battlefield Studios have made weapons feel extremely unusable, you know, as default, and then require you to put a stupid grind in to make them feel viable. It's not the case here. With attachments coming early, they do give you good benefits out of the gate, and you're not going to have to wait too long before you start getting things like grips and good muzzle attachments to reel that recoil in. But if you're a completionist like me, we're going to be grinding this game out for a while, getting these masteries on a lot of the weapons in the arsenal, and I think that's a healthy way to implement some, you know, long-term progression to the game. But yeah, look, I know I'm rambling now, so in closing, guys, this is one of the greatest weights off my shoulders when it comes to the launch of a game. After being burned a couple of times too many from the Battlefield franchise, I think we all knew that the stakes were pretty bloody high on this one. A failure would mean an inevitable death for the franchise, but a win, like we've gotten here, means a return to what is, in my opinion, one of the best first-person shooter experiences money can buy. When Battlefield is done right, it's completely magical. The true embodiment of chaos and all-out warfare that so few games actually manage to capture and do well. I have felt like a kid in a candy store again playing this game for the 14 hours that I have done so far. And while I have had the very privileged position of being close to this game's development cycle in the lead up to launch here, I've always been sitting here waiting for the catch to slap me across the face, the proverbial catch that being. And look, that may still be coming as a bit of a stealth assassin. But today, as a point in time, I say this with my whole chest. This is the most fun I've had in a first-person shooter game in a long time. And Battlefield is fucking back, baby. After years of drought, I feel like I finally have a first-person shooter game that I can see myself playing for the long haul. And I'm really looking forward to riding that journey with you all here in the community. Folks, that is going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay, and I really hope to see you guys all in Battlefield 6 very soon. If you enjoyed the video, backhand the like button. It does go a long way to supporting the channel. Get subscribed. We're going to be doing a ton of Battlefield 6 content. I've got stuff planned for weeks now, so we are going to be going hard and going fast. Be sure to check out the Twitch channel down below as well for streams, but we also stream here on YouTube as well. And if you want to get close to the community, come join the Discord, guys. We're a bunch of degenerates, but it'd be lovely to see you there as well. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and until next time, peace out, take care of yourself and each other, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.